Fast 10 is in theaters this weekend, guys, and I gotta tell you this, it is loud, it is a lot of fun in the theater, it's a good theatrical experience for sure. So let's go in and see what the synopsis briefly reads as. Dom Toretto and his family are targeted by the vengeful son of a drug kingpin from the Fast 5 movie. So, who's the bad guy in this? Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is the bad guy in this, and he is by far the standout of this film. He's going to be the one that everybody's been going to be talking about as the bad guy. He's colorful, he hams it up, he knows what kind of a movie he's in. And yeah, I came out of this movie just saying that, yeah, you got to check this out in the theater because of the sound design, the cars, the action, and stuff like that. And at the same time, in my initial reaction that's now up on the channel, I said that it does have some story issues. It's got some pacing problems in there. But it's a fast movie. You don't go into this expecting to have it to be something worthy of a Best Picture nomination. I said that it's a step up from Fast 9 with the ridiculous stunts. Now, he does still drive his car off a dam at the end. Well, you saw that in the trailers, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But if most people out there are just going to go out expecting to sit in the theater with their popcorn and just enjoy a romp, right? With Vin Diesel, Jason Statham, well, Statham's not in it that much, but with Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, the whole crew is there. Charlize Theron is oddly got a bigger role in this than I thought. It's got lots of small little cameos in there from like Helen Mirren and such. Brie Larson shows up in this. John Cena is also in this. Alan Ritchson also is a standout. Alan Ritchson in this, very interesting role. And some of the cameos that I'm not going to spoil in here for you, in case you don't know, yeah, they'll make, in my theater, when certain people showed up, it was like, yeah, kind of like people were clapping, because it's kind of like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen. And that may happen for you in the mid-credit scene. There's only one mid-credit scene. There's nothing after that, guys. So after that, you can go home. And it's worth seeing. So, and then there's like one more cameo towards the end of it where that's the one that really got people thumbs up. And that got me thumbs up. How they're going to explain it, how they're going to work around it. It's kind of like Han's back. He like, it's going to be something like that, like how Han came back. It's kind of like, do we really care? We know what these movies are. It's long. It's a bit of a long film. 2 hours and 21 minutes. And you will feel that. There was a couple times, multiple times actually, where I was looking at my phone kind of like, okay, guys, let's move it along here. Something needs to happen here. It takes some time to pause and have kind of like dramatic moments. The problem with it, though, is that the editing happens so fast that it's just kind of like you don't have time to get really all that invested in the scene. So it plays out like an amusement park ride. Like, you know, sometimes when you're waiting in line and you see like actors come in and pretend that they're getting ready to go on the ride and stuff, and you see like it's very third-rate production quality with really bad acting, right? That's what you kind of get that feeling and that vibe from when you watch the acting in Fast 10, because you don't get time to have an establishing shot of things for the directors to set the mood for a scene. It just happens all quickly like this. The dialogue is atrocious. It's terrible. But again, you're not watching it for that, right? You're watching it for the action. And it does have its payoffs. Now, my big criticism of this is that it's setting up the next film. That's if you're tired of the MCU making movies that just set up the next film, then I don't see why that logic would not apply to the Fast and Furious movie, Fast 10 here, because that's pretty much all this movie does, is set up the next film. And you're like an hour and 40 minutes into this, and you're like, okay, they set things in motion is this going to resolve in this movie? We know that it's supposed to be like in 2 parts, but now they're saying in 3 parts. And it's left with that very cliffhanger style ending where it's kind of like, is this like Dune Part 1 and 2? Maybe this one will appreciate in value after the second part comes out. Because while Jason Momoa is a good bad guy, you don't get that big epic final big battle that you would expect between these two, right? They do have their kind of like face-offs, but that's pretty much all it is. It's just like them looking at each other, kind of thing, right? That's my main criticism. That's my main criticism. That it, yeah, it's just setting up the next one kind of thing. And by the end of it, it's kind of like, well, did we know this the bad guy's purpose? Did he achieve it? We know what Dom's purpose is. Did he achieve it? Did things come to a satisfying way to end there? No, they didn't. So there you go. That's my that's my harsher criticism of it. Okay, let's go over to the tomato meter and see what people are saying about it as of 11:40 a.m. on Friday. So this is opening up on the weekend, guys, and 55% by the critics, 84% by the audience. And this is going to be one that, yeah, the audience score is going to be higher than the critics. Because as I said, I'm a critic, but, you know, I'm able to look at it in such a way where I understand what type of film it's trying to be. You know, I'm not going in there looking that critically at the pacing. It does have pacing issues for sure. I'm not looking at the acting to say that it's really cringeworthy acting. No, the acting suffers because of the editing, and I pointed that out to you guys. I know that some of these actors in there are capable of a lot more, like Charlize, Jason Momoa. I don't know if Jason Momoa is or not, but it's acting that tailors. It's tailored for that range of acting, right? Vin Diesel, I've said this for a long time, is not a thespian. He's not that great of an actor. I'm really shocked that he's gotten such a big fan base as he has, because his range is like this, guys. And it's kind of like something serious just really happened to you, and your only reaction is yeah, that's about it. Let's go take a look at some of the Snapshot reviews and see if we agree with them. Just a couple. Let's take a look at a bad one here from ABC News. Only glints of the old Whiplash magic remain in Chapter 10 as thrills give away to thudding formula and paycheck acting. Paycheck acting, there you go. Yeah, and not you, Jason Momoa. That slowed down the action to the forge of runt of the Fast and the Furious later. Well, Jason Momoa, yeah, I felt that he did the best. Where the acting, like I called it TV show acting, is Ludacris and Tyrese. Though I don't understand why those two characters are still in this film. They don't need to be here, and that's where the pacing comes in. Is like, we don't need those people in this film anymore. It's mostly about Dom, and if you could just center on Dom. I said this in my Straight Out of the Theater reaction too. There's just too many storylines going on where it's like, don't feel bad about getting rid of Ludacris and Tyrese. I don't understand what. Yeah, I'm puzzled as to what are you still doing in this film. This has nothing really to do with you. But they're part of the team, James. They're part of the family. You don't get it. Well, it's hard for me to say goodbye to my instinctions, my instinct of stories, right? Storytelling. When I see stuff that could get trimmed easily, all of the Ludacris and Tyrese stuff is chopped. It would be instantly chopped out of the story, and it would make it a much more tighter film. I like the stuff with Han, um, but you should really narrow that focus in on Vin Diesel and what's going on with his character as Dom. When you take the side stuff, the side missions of like going to like an internet cafe with Pete Davidson. Whoops, sorry, with cameos in there. When you do that kind of stuff, and you know, it's like, well, oh, this is kind of fun. But then when you actually try to look at it with a little bit of just a little smidgen of criticism of like of asking about, did we really need that scene though? No, we didn't need that scene. Uh, right? Just go straight to Statham. That's what I would have done. So it does have some flaws in there, and I'm not going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. And I'm not going to tell you that it's the best movie of the year, but it's a good popcorn flick. That's what I'll say. It's a huge step up from 9 and 8, in my opinion. People know that I had been off the Fast and Furious franchise, like in the theaters. I had stopped going because I was done. I was tapped out. And I saw them, but it was kind of like, I'm glad that I waited for streaming. But this is the way that it's going. And if this does well in the box office, hopefully they're smart enough not to extend it out to 3 films. Just keep it to the 2 films, Vin, and end out on that high note that you want it to be, right? Because if the tracking for this is not tracking well right now for the weekend box office, it's kind of like the predictions is it's not as high as they would like, and especially with the budget of $350 million. I think it was tracking for like around the 80 million mark, which is not good. Predictions for 70 million opening, not good. So, Fast and the Furious movies always did well better internationally, and I've said that many times. For some reason, the international audience hasn't caught on to this style yet. Here, here in North America, we grew up with the stuff in the 80s, like the Die Hards and the Predators, and we expect that level, that tier of action. And for the while, the Fast and Furious movies, the first one started off like that. It got rejuvenated with number 5, and then it just became comic book. It just became too much like a comic book. And I want to give you guys 2 examples of this, and what the difference here of what I mean by comic book kind of stuff. Cartoonish action with the stuff like the dam. We've seen clips of the dam here. I can't play it, right? Like this was at the end of the trailer, right? Of the car going down the dam, and it's CG. You can tell that, yeah, it has to be CG, right? Because they're not really going to drive a car down the dam, right? Vin Diesel's not going to do that. But wait a minute. What if Tom Cruise was doing Fast and Furious 10? Tom Cruise would be saying, oh, I'm actually going to drive a car down a dam and drive it off the edge of the dam. That's what Tom Cruise would do. He would actually drive a motorcycle off a cliff by himself, and you know that that's Tom Cruise doing that. You know that he would do that. Vin Diesel, with Fast and Furious, driving a car off a dam. Green screen, cartoony. You see the difference there, guys? You see that point that I'm trying to make here with the type of action? And that's where it's kind of like, yeah, it's losing it a little bit. So, but they've got enough, I feel, coming out of Fast 10, they've got enough momentum. And they've assembled enough of the highlight cast that people would want to see in the final movie. Ended off with a big bang. They're trying to telegraph that Dom is going to die in the end, but that's probably not going to happen. Yeah. And those are pretty much my collective thoughts of Fast 10. Yeah. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk a little bit about some spoilers here in just a minute, but that's just my non-spoiler thoughts. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. What would I give Fast 10 as a rating? I would not be as harsh as the critics at 55%, but I'm nowhere near as high as an 8. My instincts as a movie fan still kick in and say that you gotta penalize it for story issues. I would give Fast 10 a 6 out of 10. But know that it's just a turn your brain off action flick that's just kind of worth seeing the sights. There. Yeah, that's what it is. It's worth seeing what they did with it and how they've tried to somewhat course correct from the debacle that was Fast 9. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Mirror Domains. All right, so that'll be cut out. Let's take some live comments here, and we'll go briefly into some spoilers. Not too spoiler in case some people haven't seen it, but if you want to expand a little bit more on some of the action stuff, like that whole sequence in Rome, good action, great action. It was like shades of what we saw in Fast 5, right? Like even the dam stuff. I said that I just made a case that the dam sequence was cartoonish. Yes, but that's what this film set up for. I know that Vin Diesel wants to try and make this kind of like Lord of the Rings kind of quality. No, God, no. This that's very disrespectful to make that kind of comparison. It's a cartoon. This is on the same kind of level of Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny. That's James. You can't say that. People love Fast and Furious. Well, guys, I also gotta give you my opinions about it. It is. It's Bugs. It's Roadrunner and Coyote. That's what Fast and Furious is. It's not a serious thing, and I know that. That's why I gave it a 6 out of 10. Like if I were to put my harsh critic glasses on this and actually dock it for the bad acting, for the bad writing, for the really bad pacing, and maybe a 4 out of 10 for Fast 10. And that would be a generous 4. So thank your stars that I gave it a 6 out of 10 because I was able to put that harsh critic side of myself aside and guys and give it to you that yes, I had fun with this, right? But it's something that I'm not edging to go back into the theater again to watch this. I'm not going to. It's not like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where it's kind of like it has a story enough there that it's going to be kind of like. Actually, I kind of want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3 again. Fast 10 is going to be kind of like I saw it, and I think that's what most people's reactions are going to be. And I tell you this: the talks of it being in a third film, like a trilogy. The only way that I could see that it would work as a trilogy for the final 3 is that mid-credit scene. And we can talk about that because it was spoiled online that The Rock comes back. The only way that it could work is if they did Fast 11 and it's all about The Rock. Because, and Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa does the same thing to The Rock that he just did to Dom in this. They made him suffer. And what I meant at the about the story structure there, okay, we understand that Jason Momoa wants revenge, but he just doesn't want to kill them. He wants to make them suffer. He makes them suffer. How does that change towards the end? At the start of the movie, how does that motivation change in Jason Momoa? Oh, he tries to kill him. Yeah. So the only way that I could see them extending it into a trilogy as if they have like a standalone kind of thing with Momoa facing off with The Rock. And then in the third final Fast movie, it's Dom and The Rock have to team up again to take down Jason Momoa. That's the only way I could see them splitting into three parts. But if Fast 10 here doesn't do well at the box office, which that article is suggesting that the numbers may not be there. Like if this doesn't make $1 billion with the budget, the Fast 10 has one of the highest budgets of all time, 350, and that's probably even under-reported. It's probably something more like 450, closer to 500 million. And that's not including marketing, and that's not including what studios hall, theater hall will be. And if it does anything near what Fast 9 does, Fast 9 only made 770 million. So if it makes that, it's a bomb. The Fast 10 will be a bomb. It'll be something, a losing venture. And they would have to put away the trilogy plans right there. That would squash it. You're not going to get 3 movies there, Vin. You're going to have to wrap it up in the second one. And it's going to have to be a much lower budget. Yeah. Whoops, sorry, some more live comments here. Alan Richardson is awesome as Jack Reacher. Can't wait season 2. Yeah, and he was really good in this. Alan Richardson. I was looking at him and I was like, this guy should be... Why isn't this guy our He-Man? He should be He-Man. My God. He's got the physique, for sure. And it makes me want to go watch Jack Reacher, for sure. Pfeiffer says, I was clapping, cheering, and shocked to my core watching Fast 10. Okay. Yeah, and let me talk about the audience, too, when I went out and saw it. Guys, this was the bunch of guy friends going out into the theater to watch it, and it's the kind of movie where those guy friends that go out to watch the movie together, every 5 minutes they're looking at their phone on Twitter or TikTok. They're not really paying attention to what the hell's going on the big screen. Every 5 minutes you're seeing somebody check their phone and laughing. And normally in my settings, if I see that all the time, I go complain about those people. But because it's this type of movie, that's the kind of crowd that's going to go out and see this, right? People that just don't pay attention, don't care. They go out and see Fast 10. They're not going to go out and watch a review of Fast 10 to get that adulation, that confirmation bias that I really like Fast 10 and now I got to go out and find reviews that just confirm that back to me. No, they're not that. They don't even care about that stuff. That's what the kind of audience that was mostly in my theater. And then, of course, you got small people in there that really, really like it. My favorite scene was the rocket scene in Rome, Bifer says. Yeah, and that was a good sequence. It was. Wait, there are going to be 3 parts? I thought there was only going to be 2 parts. Well, there were. The Fast 11 was supposed to be the final one. But I think if Fast 10 doesn't do well here this weekend, it's going to have next weekend because it's not going to compete with Little Mermaid. Those are 2 different audiences. It's going to be competing with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but yeah, there's really nothing here until June, and what was the first big one in June? The first big one in June is Transformers, right? Beautiful Life. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, June 2nd. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna. Fast 10 is going to get stunted by because it is sort of the same type of audience that goes to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for that. Boogeyman. I'll be watching Boogeyman before Spider-Man, so that should tell you a lot about me, guys. And then after that is Transformers. Yeah, so you got. So next week you would have Little Mermaid. Then after that you got Spider-Man, and then you got Transformers. And we're going to talk about Transformers in just a few minutes here. I'm not going to spoil this one, but the last cameo right before credits, that one got thumbs up for me. Again, I don't know how they're going to explain it, but it's the Fast and Furious movies. That last cameo got lots of people cheering in my theater. And that makes it worth going out to see, because you want to be in a theater with the theatrical experience where everybody's going to be cheering and going like that and feel that. That's the value of Fast 10 in the theatrical experience. That's why I was so generous with my review. Hopefully people can understand that. Guys, we are running really late. And to think that I wanted to put in horror movie news in before all of this. Like there was going to be like 7 horror movie news storylines before this. Yeah. All right, let's get into that Transformers tracking. Transformers Rise of the Beast is tracking for 60